Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. If you have a gardening question you'd like our host Fred Howard to answer, send him an email. The email address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Now for today's question. We also got an email from Jason, and he says, would you go over again the timing to put down the 4-step program?
Okay, so this is a great question. So you're right here, first part of the year, about the time you do your first mowing, you make your first application. Then 8 weeks later, your second. 8 weeks later, your third. And 8 weeks later, step 4. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to take you right on into your fourth application right around September. Now, you can come back with a fifth feeding if you're really trying to bump your lawn just a little bit more than your neighbors, and put down a winter-type fertilizer in the last part of October. And that's usually always recommended by the turf experts. We call it sort of an optional feeding, and at that time of the year, if you've done 4, then you've given your lawn quite a bit of good nutrition. But that fifth optional feeding in October it will be, I'm sure, what most of the turf experts are also doing with their lawn.
Ashton, would you go over what's in each of the 4 steps? I mean, the first step is fertilizer plus what?
Plus a crabgrass preventer, and there's 2 options there. You have one option, if you're going to be seeding in the spring, then you would use a different step 1, or you would use a crabgrass preventer that's compatible with grass seed, something for new lawns. And then the second application is going to be more like a weed and feed, which is going to feed and take care of weeds. And then your third application typically is a feeding, and then your fourth application is also a feeding. The only other thing that I would suggest that you would probably need there in Central Ohio and actually throughout the whole state would be a grub control. Right around May, it's good to come back with a grub control, and the products like GrubX not only will take care of the grubs that will show up later on in the summer by putting down that application in May or June. It'll protect you for the rest of the year, but it'll also head off some of the other insects that can cause you a problem in your lawn during the summer.
Might head off some of those moles, too.
Yeah, you'll have maybe a fewer moles, but moles also like to eat earthworms, and the GrubX is not going to deplete the earthworms out of your soil. So if you're in an area where the soil has a lot of earthworms in it, you likely probably still have some moles, so you might have to pick up a product like Tomcat mole bait to take care of your moles.
Tomcat mole bait, there's a new one.
Yeah, that's going to do a good job on your moles. They've got 2 kinds of bait. One looks like a grub, one looks like an earthworm. So, the moles will go for that, thinking it's food because they can't see that well, and it's attractive to them, and it doesn't do them any good to eat those Tomcat mole baits.
Well, I tell you what, we get an awful lot of questions about moles and voles, and that's a good solution.
There you go.
Hey, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our other podcasts as well, the Plant of the Week podcast and the Plant Talk Radio podcast, all on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to sponsor a daily podcast, contact us at fred@planttalkradio.com. To find out more about Fred Howard and Plant Talk Radio, visit our website, planttalkradio.com.
Circle270media.com